still going PG?
Yeah.
So hard. So hard for myself, anyways.
So thank you all for coming to our podcast of SnowBallBurrito. I am your host, Nick, and this is our first episode in person. Not our first episode, but this is episode 2. And so, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
So my co-host is here joining me again.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, so we had difficulty because right now it's kind of a scuffed setup, so you might hear some nature noises like, animals are barking or whatever. And so we're kind of in an outside area, and we figured we'd want sort of like a outside feel to it. And so today, episode 2, we are discussing alien life is our overarching topic. And I figured, this is a really good topic to, I guess get rolling for future episodes and different types of conversations to have because, I know especially in recent memory, like within the past couple of years, really, the alien phenomena has sort of grown to an unprecedented level than ever before.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
And, with the UFO congressional hearing, the ever so shocking recent Mexico congressional hearing where they showed supposed alien bodies from Peru, which I thought was insane. I mean, when you do some more research on that stuff, it becomes more questionable. But what do you think about alien life?
Bro, you've known me for like ever. You know that
Yeah.
I believe in that shit. Like
Well,
there can't be the if you think about it, the universe, we have our own little universe, and the universe is part of many other universes, right? So it's also part of the thing that's called cosmos. The cosmos is so vastly big that it's just crazy to think that we're the only beings.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that we're the only beings in all of this shit.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of, it's an interesting conversation to have with some people because, you get the average normie who, doesn't really care about it, and all of a sudden, people are starting to talk about it, starting to, discuss it, entertain the idea that that we're not the only ones, and that, there are other life out there, either looking down upon us, other life that maybe used to exist but no longer exists in our current present time, if you want to call it. Because if you think about it, there is a paradox. I believe it's called the Fermi paradox. Yeah, I'm just looking it up on my phone. So the first thing that pops up, it says the Fermi paradox is a discrepancy between the lack of conclusive evidence of advanced extraterrestrial life, and the apparently high likelihood of its existence. As a 2015 article put it, if life is so easy, someone from somewhere must have come calling by now. Now, this, there's different other definitions. There's more complex definitions of it, but basically, it's asking the question like, well, okay, say if there really is life, like, why haven't we globally seen it? Why haven't we been contacted and so forth? Why haven't we, I guess, had any formal meet and greet or whatever with this, these aliens or whatever? It's a good question because, for as long as we've described and thought about aliens and what they look like in, our sci-fi movies and, the scary ones, the nicer ones, the grays, the aliens with like the big head, large black eyes, the slit noses, like no ears really, long arms. They're either really short or super tall, and they're green or gray or even the whites too.
Apparently there's even ones that even look like us.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what those ones are called. They're called like it starts with an N. I don't remember what they're called.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But I know like there's even conspiracies like so-called aliens live among us, which I think that's a little far-fetched, but I wouldn't be surprised just because, if if anyone's watched The Simpsons, you know how many things they've predicted that's come true.
Right.
Literally. And so I know that was one of their episodes where, it was at some congressional thing or a presidential speech or something, and like half of the Secret Service men, took off their face human masks, and they unveiled themselves to be alien. And I'm like, oh, imagine if that were to happen in real life. Everyone's minds would literally explode. And so, I mean, alien life. Us humans, we have a religion. I myself am not very religious, to be frank with you all. It's an ongoing discussion I always have with people. I have my point of view. I'm not bashing on religion. Everyone has the right to have their own belief system and really have faith in whatever they want to have faith in. But I'm all about that hard data, measurements, like graphing data. That's how I usually base my information and answers on. But everyone's different. Faith means a whole different thing to of like a Christian body than for someone like me. I believe there is like a higher entity out there, but it's a very confusing thing. And that could be another topic in itself, is religion ideals and religion concepts. But I think it's really interesting when we speak about alien life, because we think we're the only ones, well, not as so much anymore, but we think there's nothing out there like us or better than us. And I think that's what a lot of humans base their knowledge upon extraterrestrial life is, oh, if they're out there, maybe, they're either way better than us or we're way better than them. And who knows?
That could be 50-50 in itself right there.
Yeah, we don't know.
There could be a group of, I'll just use the term aliens because, whatever.
Yeah.
There could be a group of aliens that are just not, they could be going through the Stone Age just now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you heard, even apes are.
Oh yeah.
They're just now hitting the Stone Age. Evolution. It's crazy.
Yeah, I remember we had a conversation about this not that long ago, and I think I showed you a picture. If I didn't, I'll show you later. But basically, to describe it for everyone here, there is an image a photographer took somewhere where they were, I don't know, some expedition of some sort. I can't remember the source, but basically there was this ape hanging off of a tree and holding a large stick out near the water. And basically I think what they said was it was trying to catch fish. And then it went viral, and it's oh my god, apes, Stone Age ? Apes equals humans ? And I'm a firm believer that we, maybe not our origin in just ape sense, but we definitely have come from some form of whatever scientific species of ape or whatever scientists have.
Right. I don't know what you're talking about. We came from bananas.
Yeah.
We came from bananas.
Yeah, and then there's the joke, we share a lot of DNA with bananas, but it's then again, we share a lot of DNA with a lot of things. It's just a matter of measurements, quantitative data, qualitative data, how close are the genomes, It's I look at apes and I look at us. They have, 5 fingers, they have feet, legs, almost all the same statures as us. Obviously, we stand up different. We speak in our own lingo and way of communicating, and they, they that's their English basically. And so it's and but the thing is some people are well, we can't use our feet like they can. It's well, not entirely.
Well, there's some people out there that
there's quite a bit of people that could use their feet like an ape, because you really could use your feet to grab onto stuff. It's just you got to kind of practice, because it's not we're used to walking constantly, so we don't think about using it.
I whenever there's something on the ground and I don't want to bend down, I grab it with my foot and bring it up to me. So it's
yeah.
Damn, that was loud.
It's a plane going by. Sorry if that's loud.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'm looking up in the sky trying to find it. No,
Huh.
it's not. Like pretty sure it's like, sorry, over there somewhere.
Yeah,
If you guys can't see it, I'm pointing towards the direction.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Oh, and just an FYI, guys, we will have we're fingers crossed. Hopefully within these next couple weeks, because we're doing we're doing an episode a week is the plan, and so we're hoping to have like cameras of some sorts. Hopefully by the 4th episode, I think is what we were saying.
Yeah.
So and this is the recording for the 2nd. So whenever this goes up, which hopefully should be sometime this week, because this is being recorded on the 8th of October.
Probably push thoughts, maybe even Wednesday, maybe this week.
It could be in the middle or the later of the week. At minimum, this will be uploaded hopefully by Wednesday, but if not, then it's probably going to be like a Thursday, Friday release. And so, anyway, I'm only saying this like you guys know and can hear me, which you can't in the moment we're recording this. So you'll hear this when it's coming out. But yeah,
this is gonna come out Wednesday, like October something. Currently, as we're recording, it's Sunday, October 8th.
Yep. Oh, so on the topic of alien, like, what do you think of that Mexico congressional hearing on UFOs?
I did not really look into that at all because, going through my own life at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I understand.
I'm not. I mean, I 100% believe in the aliens and stuff, but there's so much backlash on showing those alien bodies, in quotes.
Yeah.
Because there's people saying, "Oh, it's cake." I think that's funny.
So I know I can't remember it. Like I said, I apologize if I don't get every fact straight. Like this podcast, there's not going to be a whole lot of things that are going to be like factual, 100% accurate. Just FYI, but like
we're amateurs.
Yes, amateurs. It'll only get better. Hopefully, it could get dumber, but who knows?
Get dumber and stupid.
But my thoughts on it were like, okay, the scientists said they've discovered these, and I believe like 2017 is what they were saying in Peru, and it was in like a mine where it had a bunch of like organic compounds that were growing all over it, or something. It wasn't necessarily preserved in like the way we think. It was preserved in a different way. It's a different type of preservation that could happen to organic material. So whatever these things were, they uncovered and were still intact enough to where you could, figure out shape, stature, head, torso, legs, all that. And so, and it kept its facial
structure. Here comes another plane.
Yep. And the thing that was interesting is like, so there's been videos debunking the whole thing, and then there's been the videos saying like, oh, this may actually be the real deal. And it's a very confusing thing because, to be honest, at least factually and publicly, we have probably found not one massive piece of like, here's an alien, right? Aside from that congressional hearing. But other than that, we have not had like one like in your face, like aliens are real, they're right here. And I find it interesting because it's like
people are saying they're not real, but we don't have evidence for that.
No, here's the thing though, is like, with the UFO movement growing.
I'm so sorry, I got distracted. I don't even know what we're at right now.
It could only be thinking about like, if it's one of those confusing things where I think in our lifetime we will know factually, like maybe not in your face factually, but like more information is going to come out, stuff's going to start coming out if the world doesn't end by then, but we won't talk about that. Supposedly there's a giant asteroid in like 20, 30, 40, 50 years, something like that, that's supposed to hit us, and NASA just had a successful like sample collection of the asteroid that supposedly might hit us. They still aren't sure. So in case if it actually has a direct path, they have like a backup plan to, send like out, things or explode, like drones of some sort, space drones, to like deflect it or explode it or some crap, which I think that's crazy, but it's real.
Hopefully by then, like, we actually have the technology to do that.
I think by then, yeah. I think I was talking with, and this goes another thing with UFOs is like, technology is like these UFO craft. It's like it blows a lot of people's minds when you watch these videos, because so like the millionth plane that's going above us right now, propulsion. If you basically are trying to break the sound, I don't know if I'm exactly correct in saying this, but like, when a jet is like getting kicked off going through the air, because it creates like a blast in the air, almost like an impact blast, and basically that's breaking the sound barrier. You're going faster than sound can travel, and that's why a lot of times, like when a nuke goes off, you don't really hear it right away. It's almost like an awe moment, and then it takes like however many seconds or minutes for the distance between you and the explosion to finally hit you. And it's kind of like that. And you see these videos of like these craft just going bing bing boom bing bing, zigzag, up down left right, like within seconds. For example, the Tic Tac one, that's probably one of the most famous cases of a definite UFO sighting. And they were training off of like a secretive sort of area where they were just doing, it was like this David Frazier, I believe is his name, Commander Frazier, and they were flying these new planes or something like that, or these new jets, and supposedly they saw a UFO that had sort of like a Tic Tac shape, like a rounded Tic Tac, weird odd like pill shape to it. And they said it went from like 90,000 feet to like above the water in like 1 or 2 seconds, basically. And they're like, how the heck is this possible? Because it's like, even back in 2002 or 2003, whenever it's one of those years, whenever it happened, even now, we don't have technology that we know of publicly, in the public domain, that could do that. Because everything has to have some form of propulsion to it. Like, and even then, you can't just go up, down, left, right, because I don't know if you know the famous case of Bob Lazar. I've talked to my friend about this actually, and I thought it's one of the most fascinating, like mind-blowing stories of all time. And you could check out the Joe Rogan podcast on that. He does an interview on that podcast, the podcast that's a million times better than this one. Anyway, it's like
a professional setting, but
yeah,
whatever,
it's one of the craziest stories I probably have ever heard when it comes to UFO. Now, anyone could take it with a grain of salt, because you don't really, truly, factually 100% know if this guy's telling the truth. But to sum up the story, he basically worked at an area called S4 off of Area 51. And like I said, you guys got to check this Joe Rogan podcast episode or watch videos on it. It is crazy what this guy basically talks about. And the thing about this guy that makes him more credible is some of the stuff he said, has sort of pretty much come true. More information that he's said back then keeps coming out now, and it's like, oh my God, you were right, like decades ago. It's like, for example, element 115, element 115, they think, okay, let me back it up. Basically, this guy worked at a sub-area of Area 51, and his credentials is where he worked at a place called Los Alamos, and it was like a research center, some big science, nuclear, I don't know what it was, but he was basically the guy who was known for having the jet rockets strapped to his Honda. Like, he strapped a literal jet, he used jet fuel and stuff.
Yeah.
And he'd be going like 200 miles per hour, which was really fast at that time for a car. And he'd be known as the guy that could be heard a mile away coming into work basically every day. And so, because you could just hear his, like, however loud it was, which had to have been pretty loud. So,
yeah, because you got to think about it. Jet engines are super damn loud. It's like, you'll hear jets, like, it's crazy, because they have to go fast. Mm-hmm. So, like, they have so much power to it, and, power in any vehicle, they're going to be hella loud. So, like, it's crazy to think that he did that with a Honda and put jet engines and had to use jet fuel. It's crazy.
The thing, see, that's another thing is like this guy, he's not like a crazy weirdo where he doesn't know what he's talking about. You know, like I said, just do research on the guy. He has credentials. You know, I know there's the whole schooling conspiracy theory that's been going on around him because I guess he doesn't have records of going to MIT. I think that's the school or like basically he's accused the government of wiping records of him from going to these certain places. But the Los Alamos one was actually proven to be true due to a phone book record they had from the time, which sort of debunked people calling him crazy and basically saying he's lying about going to all these schools. And, you know, like he has people he knows he can still talk to and stuff. He like knows of a lot of people that could, you know, you could possibly get info out, but it could also affect them. So he doesn't want to, you know, just start name dropping people.
Can't drop names.
Yeah. So
I mean, maybe back
he
like
said
in the next decade probably.
He said like, you know, he's still scared even to this day because, you know, he feels like there's still a watchful eye on him because of the stuff he said. But anyway, to rewind again back to the story. Basically, he got brought in to a debrief, and he was mentioning on the Joe Rogan podcast. He kind of goes into depth more on that side on that podcast, but he basically goes on to, you know, debrief like, you know, there's different sections, science teams that work on propulsion, weapon systems, air guidance or whatever. And so basically, his problem with it though is he's like, it kind of defeats the whole idea of the scientific method and scientific research, because you gotta work together. You gotta bring your ideas together. You gotta collude everything into one. And he said them separating everybody out like the way they did to work on these different technologies that they discovered with these extraterrestrial vehicles, it defeats the whole purpose. It's just making it go slower because things have got to connect together. You know, if you're just sectioned off and you're working on this one thing but have no idea how another thing works, you're kind of sorry, but shit out of luck. SOL on this one. So it's like you can't just separate everyone. That was his big gripe about it, and that's what aches him to this day. Anyway, he got stuck with the gravitational aspect of the craft. And basically, it was like this rod that was like half a basketball, and it had a metal pole, and it had plating on it, and it basically, he said it worked like a gravitational like generator, basically, is what it was. And like you try to move, it's like when you get two magnets, on the same
positive and a positive. It will never.
It's like that feeling when you're trying to touch it, you just can't can't touch it because it's. He said it you know, it was anti-gravity. It was going upward, basically. It wasn't allowing him to touch the thing. And so it was like a force field. And he's like, you know, with all these movies like Star Wars and all these different crazy sci-fi films, lasers and, you know, force fields and, you know, UFOs could become a reality if we were able to master this type of technology. Because he said if you could create gravity, like say if the US government had like gravity created like vehicles and weapons, like everyone's done for. Like you could bend anyone to your will, basically, because you're literally taking like gravity itself and making and generating more and manipulating it, basically. And it could you know, you could create a whole vast amounts of technology that it's like unknown to us now what we could comprehend.
Yeah, like shit, they could do something crazy where it's like they double or triple.
We could create, you know,
gravity as a human being just standing there.
Yeah, we could create all these different devices, and he said like it makes sci-fi come true. Like that's what would make a lot of the stuff we see in movies come true.
Yeah, because
a lot of these operate on that theoretical gravitational force that binds and moves everything. But it's like, you know, we still don't understand gravity, keep in mind, is what he also said. And this is true. We don't fully understand it. We've only discovered, like, I know he mentioned in the Joe Rogan podcast that we discovered that gravity was actually a wave in like 2015 or something like that, where they detected like this wave measurement of like a gravitational explosion or something through like a black hole or some crazy thing, and basically, you know, they were able to measure waves instead of, because we thought, or he said something about like they thought gravity was like atoms or proton or some type of different way of thinking about gravity and how it looks and interacts with objects.
I had it in my mind, but I just cannot bring it out. I can't think of it. I remember exactly how like what it was said. I just can't think of it right now.
Interject if you think about it. But yeah, this guy, he worked with a guy. I forgot the guy's because he said the guy's name, which might not be his real name because he doesn't want to give all the actual information out for obvious reasons. But anyway, long story short, the guy basically came out saying he's worked on UFO technology. He has, he doesn't have any really proof, but it's like he has all this information. His story hasn't changed in 30 plus years. Element 115 came true. The little bone graph hand measurements that thought were to actually not be real were actually proven to be real machines they used to identify people entering the facility.
Yep.
Basically, every human has a unique bone structure and a bone length and density. And he said that it was basically the precursor to fingerprint scanners. Like, everyone has unique fingerprints. Everyone has unique bone structure. So he says, you basically would place your hand on the thing. It would measure your bones, basically, and it would pop the ID out if it identified, your exact sort of
And it's
structure.
Yeah, it's like crazy because like if you think about it, we'll just use the swimming for example.
Yeah.
Because like it's easier to swim when you have a lesser bone density. You can move it. I think that it would be fine.
No, I know. I'm moving because honestly, my buttocks are falling asleep.
Yeah, my ass is starting to hurt.
Yeah, so I gotta stand up.
But anyways, what was I saying? Swimming. Okay, so swimming, it's gonna be a lot. Heavier bone density. That's they're just proven. That's just factual stuff right there. And like for you, it's a lot easier for you to swim because I'm pretty sure not just your bone density. Obviously, you have. Not saying that you're fat. You have more fat on you than I do. So
yeah,
it helps you swim better. I mean, because like for me, like it's hard for me to float. It's really hard for me to float. I'm not fat. But I'm like really athletic. I should know how to swim. I should know how to float. I don't know how to swim or float.
Yeah.
I've gotten better. I'm getting better at swimming, but floating for me is like almost nearly impossible because of how heavy my bone density.
Oh, so I'm sorry, guys. My freaking leg is like, is this weird feeling because everything just fell asleep basically down my waist. So, yeah.
I just out laughing.
Anyway.
Yeah. So like, my bones like they're heavier, so it's harder for me to float. So like, for me, if I like try, I will start sinking, and I've had that problem for like the longest time swimming. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
I'm getting a little off topic.
No, yeah, that's fine. But anyway, the whole point of it is the way they use to identify or to give the IDs out were proven to be true. Like the method was proven to be true because people actually had access to these machines. And so they don't use them anymore, so obviously they're outdated and they suck and they break all the time is what he said. And so but I think, yeah, it's just something, like I said, guys, go check out Bob Lazar. Read everything on him, and it will really blow your mind, like, on how, like, out of this world his story is. It's, like, one of the craziest stories because it probably is true, or at least most of it is, and so, but, alien life, it's a very complex thing because, like I said, or I haven't said, but in the news, NASA's trying to go back to the moon. Also, they're having that mission to Mars. Hopefully, in like the 2030s, it says their goal. They said, and they really want humans to travel further than just the moon, really. And so, and I do think, honestly, if we want to get in conspiracy theory mode, I do believe there are aliens amongst us, and maybe not even societal, but there are definitely aliens in this galaxy for a fact. There's like, I do think aliens have been visiting us. I think they've been visiting us for a long time, even before the age of technological advancement. They've been probably on this planet who knows how long, or been visiting. But here's another crazy thing is, like when I mentioned the Fermi paradox, we'll look out into space, light years. When you see like, let's see, how do they describe it? Like, so say if we could just look at a planet right now, just take a big old telescope, one the world's never seen before, and just look at a distant planet like 30 light years away. Look right at it, basically. Like, basically just have it right in front of your face, so almost. We would be seeing that. We would be currently seeing that planet like hundreds of years ago, basically.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think
so
it's
we're
like
basically
30
viewing
years
in the
and
past.
years too.
Yeah. We're basically viewing in the past. Whenever the farther we look down the universe, we're actually looking at things in the past that have happened. And it just works in the way because light travels differently, and time works sort of differently in that way, because you'll look at a planet and it's like, okay, everything from an observable point of view, like a naked eye, like Mars, Jupiter, that's different. That all generally works in our known observation methods. But it's like when you're looking at a planet like light years away, you're looking at it like years and decades in the past. It's like you're having a mirror and you're looking at what the past is. And when you think about it, that means you're looking at that planet in whatever point in time we were in whenever that planet's light first bounced back at Earth, which is crazy to think about. It's very confusing. I know some people might be so confused by it, but you're basically just looking into the past. The farther you look out in the universe, you're just only going further back in time. And so, like, when scientists see, explosion, like certain events occurring, like through telescopes or whatever,
it's already happened.
It's already happened, basically. And so they're already seeing stuff that's already happened, like just way long ago.
Because like when you look up in the sky, the night sky, and it's like like away from the cities and stuff, and you see all the stars up in the sky. There's stars that have already blown up that are yet we are yet to see blow up.
Yeah.
And then there's stars that are just being created that we have yet to see even start coming back because of the light that's traveling.
Now, even then, there's cases and moments where scientists will get present data, and anything that happens in the current moment is still able to be recorded, but they just said that, like it goes with the alien thing.
That was weird.
We could be looking, like, say if we were looking at a planet that had aliens all over it, by the time like time and light years catch up with the present moment, they could have already been dead for however, like, who knows, thousands of years.
Yeah, that shit.
Like
The
when
ones that we see that are like, say, we see them walking on the planet, where by the time they get back to us, they're probably already long gone.
Yeah, so like, all these possible planets we're looking at, there could have been aliens, but we're looking at it only in that time, but now they could all be dead. Or they could have evolutionized themselves, evolved,
moved off to a different planet.
Yeah, and so we're basically looking into the past most of the time when we look at these other planets. Like, we don't know if it's current, present, like, here's an alien walking on a planet. Like, we don't, well, obviously that stuff's too far to measure, because a lot of times scientists only can measure like atmospheric kind of stuff and planet size and like what zone it's in.
Where the lands are, but like you can't actually see on it.
Yeah, they can't like see the planet per se, but it's like they can make measurements based off of the sun, and I don't know what all goes into that. Obviously, there's way more than I could even imagine that probably goes into it, but scientists can't just like see a planet up close, but like they could definitely like make hypothetical measurements and guesses and like whatever they use. I'm guessing measurement distance of light years is probably a big thing, and so, but yeah, I think alien life is I could go on and on about this. There's other stuff I got, but like we are getting close to the time I wanted for this podcast, and so
but like before we go, before like the podcast is over and stuff, do you have any like UFO sightings or anything like that? Or what are they called now? UAPs or something?
UAPs or whatever. There's like a new name every year for it.
Yeah,
but
do you have any experiences on that at all?
Oh God, I swear there was one. I remember. Oh, I remember it was actually probably a couple months ago. I remember driving out. I went to like a mountain range area, and it was really just a kind of a mind cleanser. I just wanted to go get out of the house and stuff. I can't remember what it was, but I remember looking in the sky. I could see satellites. You could see the typical stuff moving. Shooting stars just going and just disappearing in a second. But like I remember, I swear I was watching this thing in the sky, and it was really far away, like you couldn't make it out, but it was moving, and then it went kind of it like was starting to just immediately go at a 90-degree angle, like no like curve switch. It just went like up, like it went straight and like up immediately when it came to turning or whatever. And I swear it was just moving around freely. It was the strangest flipping thing I have probably ever seen in the sky. I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my God, is this an actual like UAP or UFO? I don't know what it was. It could have been what is it? A night of those bugs.
What's it called?
You guys will know. Fireflies, yes. There are occasions where sometimes fireflies, even being kind of far away, they can still look like they're a lot farther. And so, basically...
What are you... Hold on, I'm sorry, guys.
Anyways, I just think it was the craziest experience I've probably ever seen. Like, I genuinely think I saw a UFO. And you guys, I'm kidding. Like you could think I'm lying, but I'm not. I'm probably more passionate about this stuff than anyone ever. And so, yeah. But yeah, I think this will be a wrap up for the podcast. Sorry, my co-host had to kind of go away temporarily, and so I'm being stared at. But, anyways, sorry guys. Thank you guys for listening. Whoever listened all the way, I appreciate it. We're not perfect at this. I'm not perfect at this. It's gonna take a lot of work to get to a point where it's gonna become more of a normal like way of doing things. And so, my speaking and speech, my words of choice are not usually all the best, but it works out to be exactly the way it is. And so yeah, that'll do it.
Well, I gotta give my experience.
No.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to tell people what was going on out here on my balcony. My sisters were looking through the window.
Yeah, we're being watched.
Yeah, being weirdos. Anyways, so you finished up your...
Yeah.
Alright, so I have two. One I was a part of and one I wasn't. I'm kind of like doubting like my family thing.
Yeah.
experience. So I'll tell theirs first because I was asleep. So I went camping not too long ago. It was like last like 4 months ago, like about 4 months ago, and we went to camp with my family that's not in Idaho. Yes, we live in Idaho. They live in Nevada, so we went to Nevada and we went to California to go camping because that's what. She doesn't do that on.
Oh, yeah.
Like on purpose. I mean, sometimes she'll do. Officer outside looking for you. You go out there and they're not there.
Yeah.
But like, she was very sincere about this one, so I was like, oh. See it, so.
Yeah.
You know, I'm one of those guys that has to be there to see it.
Yeah, skeptical because, you know, you got to kind of see it to believe it, sort of.
Yeah. So that's like how that went. So it was, I mean, it was a fun time camping, but like, it was the only like crazy experience that were like, seeing these things.
Mm.
And I was a little more like, skeptical about it because they were all drunk.
Oh, yeah. Got to
And,
be
like,
skeptical.
Even like the sober kid went out there and talked to them, and then she saw it too.
Yeah.
It was. I wish I was awake for that, but like, you know, what can you do? And then my experience with it was like I was by myself, yada yada, you know how stories start.
Yeah.
But I was by myself and I was walking around my hometown, you know where I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna disclose.
No, yeah. You can keep
Safety
going.
reasons. Walking around there and, you know, I was walking by myself, having a good time outside by myself. Pitch black, really. This is like before places around started having a lot more lights. Like we have a huge light pollution in Boise now because there's so much going on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like it's bad. Like even midnight and when it's usually really dark, you can see.
You could really see the stars, but even then they're kind of faded and like the sky is just very bland and nothing pretty much.
Yeah, and at this time it's really dark and like light pollution wasn't that bad at the time. And I'm walking, and you know I love to look up at the stars, you know, because fascinated with that stuff. And I'm walking, looking up, looking back down, looking around me, you know. And then I look up this last time. This is before I started heading home. Well, this is the reason why I started heading home. I look up and then there's just light. It's brighter than all of the stars. It's brighter than the North Star. And it looked a lot closer than all of them. And I was like, whoa, that's interesting. I'm looking at it and it starts like doing swirls in the sky, and then zips over here, and then zips over here, and it's like seconds. So it's like crazy fast. It's like that's not a plane. That's not a drone.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to them. Like when I was watching this light that looked it was very far away. It wasn't close by any means. You know, it just kept moving, kept moving, and I was like, what is that?
It was like, I would say it was like a 10-second duration of how quick this thing was moving and it disappears.
Mine was like a whole I didn't disclose this. Mine was like 5 minutes of watching this thing because like at first it looked like just I thought it was a satellite. And like I said, it just started moving. And all of a sudden just went kind of crazy and I was like, what? I was like, then like all my attention's focused. Like I don't give a crap about anything else. I'm watching. And I'm like I'm just looking at different parts of the sky and then looking back and it's still there and I'm like, what? I don't know. It was so far away to make out though. It was just kind of like a light.
Yeah. What color was your
speck? Yeah, it was like a normal like
a white light.
Yeah, it was just a white dot. It was literally just like a white. Yeah, it looked like part of a star.
Mine was like a white, like with like a little tint of like blue, you know, different color. Like I thought it was a star at first.
Yeah.
but then like it was closer, or it looked closer than most of the stars, and was brighter.
Yep.
And it was just zooming around doing all this stuff, and then just gone.
Yep.
And I was like,
crazy.
all right, time to go home. And that's really the end of that story because it wasn't that long.
But yeah,
these things are crazy. Like, I mean, it was a phenomenon that I didn't even know. Like, at the time, like, I was kind of skeptical on aliens. I didn't really believe it, you know, younger me. And then, you know, that was like a big thing, like, to help me, like, yo, maybe there is something out there. And then I did my own research. I keep doing my own research whenever I feel like, you know, I want to just look at random shit online. And, you know, and now I have like a bit better understanding, and I have like bigger belief that there's actual stuff out there.
It's a phenomena that will forever grow until we literally see aliens or something in front of our face.
And I'm
That's
guessing
pretty.
we're about like over the time, so we should probably.
Yeah, we're fine. Anyways, thank you guys for coming and listening to us. Hopefully, people have, at least some people have made it to the end, because, you know, like I was saying before, this isn't perfect. You know, speech patterns can be weird, and, you know, back and forth could be, you know, not as consistent, but the audio is also probably going to be the biggest hurdle. But it's like, you know, it's a never-going experience with this podcast. It's not going to be anywhere near great for a good while, and so, and probably ever. It's just, we're just doing, you know, talking about things we enjoy, or talking about things that are important or really interesting. And so we hope you guys enjoyed this episode 2 of SnowBallBurrito's Alien Life episode.
Yeah, episode 2.
Yep. Whoop. And so,
Cannot wait to record the 3rd episode.
Oh yeah.
I'm enjoying these. These are great.
Oh yeah. And so we're just trying to figure out vibes, because we're thinking like every other episode will kind of have a different, like, we're outside right now, so you're probably going to hear a lot of noises.
You know, the first episode, I was sick and stuff. But
yeah, that one was different. We had to do that just because my co-host was sick. But yeah, we're good now. And so,
as you can, I think we should tell them why we have a SnowBallBurrito, since we're out.
Oh, so
we're just gonna have
I remember like one night or two before we recorded our first episode, I kept discussing it, and I was like, oh, what should our name be? Because it was like, you know, I was thinking like Podcast Brothers, or, you know, the News Boys, or some, you know, generic, you know, podcast or broadcasting name.
We were driving around. And
Yeah.
talking about it.
And I was like, he and I were like, no, that's not gonna work. No, it's too generic, too blah.
I feel like this is a name that's already been taken.
And then I just was like, I don't know. I literally don't know how, but I just thought of something like,
to be honest, we were being a little racist.
There was a little racy thought I had, and I was like, well, I'm white. He's Mexican. I'm like, Snowball and Burrito. And so,
I was like, yo, that is funny.
SnowBallBurrito. And so
here we are.
Yeah, it's not an ordinary name.
This is Burrito over here.
Yep. And so it was just a weird little name. You know, it doesn't have too much meaning or anything. It's just, you know, fun little. It's kind of a joke. And so, but yeah, that's why it's called SnowBallBurrito.
Yeah.
And so
it's funny. I don't care about the whole like.
Yeah, it's just funny.
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's just a funny, like, unique name. So yeah.
Like, it's great.
Came with that, and they're running with it. So
yeah.
All right.
Vince is Burrito. Nick is Snowball.
Thank you guys for
thank you guys for
tuning in, and catch us on the other episode.
Catch us on the 3rd episode. This is gonna be a great time. Hope to see you guys. Like, share, you know, do all what you gotta do.